Hey, everybody, welcome back to Gardens, the Untold Story. I'm Ken Somerville, my co-host Andy Lopez, the Invisible Gardener, and we're going to be going over his book, chapter by chapter. Don't panic, it's organic. And today, the first chapter in his book is no difference between organically grown food and chemically grown food. We all know there's a huge problem with that statement. That's why there's a big question mark at the end. But Mr. Lopez, why are you putting that as your first chapter?
Well, that's a good question. I never really thought about it, but it's because it really comes down to exactly what's been happening. I've been doing this since 1970 with Invisible Gardener. And that's what they were saying then, and they're still saying it now. That's their basic, that's their main thing that the powers that be are saying. What they're saying is that also they're saying you can't grow organically. We're all going to starve.
Yeah.
Right. So those are the two things that I've always been hearing on and off forever and ever. And I have to tell you guys, so I went to University of Florida, studied agriculture. First day in school, the first day. The teacher said, nitrogen, N-I-T-R-O-G-N, nitrogen. There's no difference between chemical source of nitrogen and organic source of nitrogen. I said, oh my God. Oh, here we go. Here we go. And I raised my hand and said, excuse me. He says, what do you want, Lopez? I said, excuse me, but there is a difference. And I got up and walked away from that class.
Well, and that's one of the problems, and we were talking about it before the show, is if you're in these courses in these universities and you don't follow their mandate, how they tell you it's got to be, they don't pass you. So even if you know better, you still have to answer the questions to get the mark, to get the degree, and that's just total bullshit. And Andy, I'm proud of you that you walked away, man.
I got a bachelor's degree in business. I came back again. The teacher says, okay, let's you have to prove it. I said, okay, I'll prove it. The Bucks in Florida love Andy. Yeah. Who's this? Patricia Kish. The Bucks. You must be a Florida person, because I'm a Florida boy myself. I mean, I've had run-ins with the powers that be, the doctor. I truly believe that doctors, the medicine and agriculture business are owned by the same people, because they
are. If you go high enough in the corporations, they're all owned by the same massive groups. Yeah,
they feed you the same BS. BS. So I found. So I've been, I in the old days, I didn't have the internet so much, so I would do magazines and books and stuff like that. So I'm an old fan of Organic Gardening magazine when it came out. Rodale Institute, one of my favorite institutes, and then I've actually been doing a radio show in the early 70s. I started doing a radio show, and I get tons of mail all the time saying you're crazy, that that we're all going to starve if we try to do things organically. And let me just try to explain to you something. So in my book, I said in the LA Times article, a columnist wrote, there is no difference between organically grown food and conventionally grown food. He cites several studies that prove there is no difference between nutritional levels, and he cites doctors who all say the same thing, right? He cites doctors who say the same thing. Eating conventionally grown food is not only safe, but just as nutritional. That's what the doctor said. And it's like, and these people ignore the very basic things that makes organic produce better. So let's just stop for a second and say, okay, so there's two things that I will tell you. One is the most obvious, right? Which is basically, both are obvious to me, but one would be, we are not destroying the environment. We're not destroying the soil. We are not I mean, there's so many different chemicals and so many different things that go into
Yeah.
making this conventionally grown produce, right? That's the most obvious. It doesn't say anything. And one of the things I learned about the studies, and there's a recent one studies, which basically starts off scientists at Cornell and a bunch of other institutes for health and science. They they
Mhm.
they gathered together 23 different studies and they studied the studies. Okay, they said we
Yep.
looked through the studies to come up with our conclusion, right? Because so right off the bat, I'm just going, oh boy. So I looked at those smaller studies. None of
Mhm.
them were done by organic farmers, by the way. It was just scientists, doctors, whoever's, whether they got paid for it or whatever, because you follow the money. You really do look at the money. If the American
Yeah.
Health Institute or Rodale is paying for, I mean not Rodale, for Monsanto is paying for the study, you know that what the results are going to be. You
Yeah.
don't even have to look at
Exactly.
it, right? You don't even
Yeah.
have to look at it. But here's my issue, and I contacted a lot of these studies. I said, okay, you did a study. Here's one study. So they actually did a study of the study. So this group in a
Yeah.
college did a study, and they said they got 3 plots of land. One was organically grown, one was conventionally grown, in the middle was nothing. They just threw everything together. So
Yeah.
they went and bought seeds, and they stuck some seeds in the organic one, stuck seeds in the conventionally grown one, and then the chemically grown one. And they chemically grown one, they fed it the chemical fertilizer. In the organic one, they fed it organic stuff. Conventionally, they did nothing but water, which is really stupid because the conventional one doing nothing but water, it's going to be looking really bad. It's going to not do well. The chemical one, it grew and everything, and they took care, they sprayed it, they did everything you're supposed to do to it to keep it growing. The organic, because they're not organic gardeners. They did the
Yeah.
best they could to do organic. There's some major problems with this setup because I would have got an organic gardener person, a professional farmer, organic farmer to do the one plot and a chemical farmer to do the other plot, right? Secondly, I wouldn't do the plots right next to each other.
Well, you got overspray.
They were
Yeah.
literally right next to each other. So one of the things that this teacher said, you have to prove it. I said, fine, I'll prove it. Well, we divided the class in half. Half was organic, one with meat, other half went with chemical. And they wanted to do it right next to each other. I said, you're kidding me, right? I want it over 10 miles over there. I don't want it anywhere near you, 10 miles over there. And to make the long story short, we grew it. And then there was corn. We did corn, a field of corn. And the corn was growing very good, and I would take the corn down, and I would have these blind tests, the 2 tables. Which one do you like better, right?
Yeah.
Every time they went, and that time I don't remember if I knew too much about a refractometer because I could then prove, hey, look at this, right? Look at here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so what happened is that some cattle broke out. They went past that 10 acres. Nobody stopped there. They kept on going to my place. And
Yeah.
they ate the corn over there, and the students and the principal and the teachers, something's going on with that corn over there because these guys don't want to eat all this. I mean, that should be enough proof right there.
Yeah.
But the study, they had an organic section. They didn't amend it. They didn't use compost. They didn't do anything. They totally ignored the biology that was not there.
Yeah.
They totally ignored that. Chemically, you don't need biology. You don't care if you're just a druggie. Give me the drug, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they sprayed it. It's normal to spray. I constantly get stuff. Yeah, you always have to spray this for it. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
and that's one of the studies. And there were several other studies, and each study was flawed. If you were an organic gardener, you would go, "That's wrong. That's wrong." And
Mm-hmm.
one study was they had a farmer, an organic farmer, and a chemical farmer growing food. The problem with the organic farmers is not really an organic farmer. This guy didn't know what he was doing because
Mm-hmm.
they proved it that within 10 years, the chemical farmer was growing more and more, and the organic farmer was growing less and less. I'm going, let me do it. Let me do it. If I had 10 acres, that farm would be self-sufficient. It would grow more and more with less and less input. And it'll be nutrition. There is a nutritional difference. There is a major
Oh,
difference.
big time. Yeah.
Major difference. And whereas this chemical guy would have to be constant, he would have to move to another piece of land after a while. That's what they do. They destroy it and they move to another piece of land and they destroy it again. And they run out of land after a while. You have the great Dust Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Right? Just to grow herbs. Yeah. So and all of these studies were flawed. And then these guys came along, they studied all the flawed studies. And they came to the same conclusion. There's no difference. And there is, it's just on the chemical aspect there is, but in the nutritional aspect, you get what you put into it. It's as simple as that. If you do not pay attention to the best compost that you make, if you do not pay attention to trace minerals, if you do not pay attention to biology, those plants would not have that nutrition. They would not have that in them. There's no way they're going to get it from this barren soil, even though the soil normally, you would think, well, this is what Mother Nature does. She grows here, right? We don't have to do anything. No, Mother Nature, she tilts it for you. She does all that work. She makes the most amazing compost, most amazing soil, and that's what everything grows in. I mean, I wanted to actually say, so did you use compost? No. Did you kill an animal or at least let drain blood over a place? No. What did you do that's, quote, organic? Well, and on top of that, the seeds that they bought were chemically processed, genetically modified stuff, chemical. They didn't buy any heirloom seeds.
Did you ask them about the soil before they ever planted? Like, it was at a normal university soil that had been, killed by using chemicals for years before they ever went organic in it?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going, so how can you even say that's organic when it wasn't? I mean, any farmer will say, okay, first we have to prep the soil. We have to give the land some time to recover, start giving it to biology. We want to rotate animals where they want to do all these things that a normal organic farmer would do to bring the biology up. And then we're going to start growing. We're not going to just grow it on some barren piece of CRAP soil that's not even soil. And then they expect organic fertilizers to work. Let's say they were using the organic fertilizers, and even now to this day, because people ask me all the time, well, I bought this organic fertilizer and I used it on my place. It doesn't do anything. I said, well, you need to have live soil, live biology of organic fertilizer to work. Hello, what I mean? And they still don't get it. But later on in my life, I started using the refractometer, and so the refractometer doesn't lie.
Yeah,
doesn't lie. I know that if I was to go back in time and show up with my time machine and give myself a refractometer, what does it say? Soil nerds, show some love for Andy and Ken. Yeah, listen, I won $2 million. I'll tell you where to deposit it to. That's the love I want. That's all the love I want, man. All the love I want. $2 million. Okay, I want 4. I just want to spread it around. I mean,
you're gonna give me 2. Oh, bonus. Yeah.
If I had showed up there, if I had a refractometer, because they don't believe me, and on top of that, they don't believe the cows when they were deciding not to eat that. They don't even believe their own taste. You picked this corn, you ate that, you ate this corn, you liked it. So something's going on with this corn as opposed to that corn, and it's the taste, right? The sugar level. The sugar level, Mother Nature put into a way. If you like the sugar, we're going to give you the minerals through the sugar. That's the way it works. So
Andy, how about 2 million seeds?
Oh, man, yeah. No, I have. When I'm dying, my wish is to put my seeds in my coffin.
Yeah.
I'm not
let it all grow, baby.
I'm not going to give it to anybody. The seeds will start coming up of the coffin, That's what I want to do. Now I forgot what I was going to say, man. I've totally.
Well, basically, we're talking, Andy. They're really manipulating how these studies are done. We're looking at who's paying for the study, what kind of soil are they using, do they even have a clue what organic growing is? And nowadays they've changed the organic standards to such a point where they can call it organic when it's 51% organic and 49% chemical. They can use herbicides and pesticides. So they're never like, they've manipulated the word organic. I think we really need to change and call it something, growing with life or something, because organic is not the way to go.
No. So what I like is IPM, integral pest management. Okay.
Okay.
I like that. All right. Okay. So basically, this is the way it is. You steps 1 through 9 are basic cultural practices, and they're
Okay.
basic. And even there, they're still not. They need to update it a little bit because they don't really talk too much about soil biology. They talk about crop rotation. They talk
Yeah.
about good healthy soil. They just basically saying we want to keep our soil healthy, but they don't have to define what to them is healthy. They
Yeah. They
don't
don't
talk.
even understand what healthy soil is. They don't
They don't
understand
talk about
enough yet
trace
to work it up.
minerals. They don't talk about trace minerals. This is basically these are integral pest management because we basically are controlling the pests.
Yeah.
They don't even talk about refractometer use or nothing. The number 10 is if none of these work, these are the chemicals you can use and still call it
Yeah.
IPM. And so basically people ignore all that stuff because they're not doing any of that. If they did, it doesn't work. They don't know about biology. They don't know about trace minerals. They don't know how it really works, how plants get fed from the soil biology. They don't know any of that stuff. All they know is that they're like a chemist. What happened?
Yeah.
That's what I said.
They farm with a colonizer mindset, bend the soil or bend the land to their will through force.
Yeah.
Even the flavor of their food is colonized. It all tastes the same, and it's not good.
So you have 1 billion acres of genetically modified corn. It all tastes the same. It doesn't have any trace minerals in it. I'll tell you what happened. So they decided to sell to Africa seeds of their brand new genetically modified corn. We're going to
Yeah.
give it to you, they said. Okay, you can grow it. So here's a farmer with thousands of acres of corn in Africa that were growing corn like crazy. Remember, corn was not growing there until this moment. Okay, so even the bugs were going, "What the heck is that?" But then the doctors were saying, "How come you guys are still malnutrition? You have all these fields of corn, these fields and fields of corn. Why are you still malnutrition?" So he did a study on the corn. There's no food in this corn. There's no,
Yeah.
you can eat all you
No
want.
nutrition.
The
Yeah.
bugs are not touching it.
Yeah.
The birds are not touching it. And then to make matters worse, the following year, because that's sterile, the seeds are sterile.
Yeah.
They said, you have to buy our corn, our seeds. And
Yeah.
they're going, wait a minute. So they said, bye-bye, we're not interested. How's that? And they're trying to push it on other people around the world.
Yeah.
The genetically modified corn. And so, yeah, they all taste the same, which basically is dill. No, they have to add things to make it taste better.
Yeah.
It's actually detrimental to your health, and it's detrimental to the biology of the soil and everything. I mean, imagine billions of acres of this corn, okay?
Yeah.
And it spreads. When I started doing our shows in the early 70s, I was already yelling about genetically modified foods. I was already saying, and that's what we're getting now. When we talk about conventional, they are genetically modified foods without they don't even tell us. They don't even tell
Yeah.
us there's Roundup in this food or this cat. So I was reading the other day about Monsanto's going to different chemical companies. We can help put your chemical into the food because it's totally safe. Nobody's going to be able to say anything about that because that's what they were saying when they started putting Roundup. No, it's totally safe. Your body was not going to get any of the Roundup. It's in the gene of the plant. And
Yeah. And now they're
realize,
finding Roundup in baby food.
yeah, yeah, Roundup and everywhere
Yeah.
and everything pretty much. And but to me, my what I learned from experience. This is what I learned from experience, and I apply it both to my physical body and to the soil. And
Mm-hmm.
I learned that you get what you. A friend of mine said, "It's not what you eat; it's what you absorb." And
Yeah.
so that's a big process there for people because if they're used to eating junk food, there's no food in there, no chemical, no vitamins and minerals. There's nothing for them to absorb. And what happens is their body breaks down. Their body does not longer absorb. You actually eat good food, you won't be able to absorb that. Your body doesn't have the biology in there to break it down anymore. So
Yeah.
you're stuck eating the junk food on a regular basis forever and ever, and you're going to die of some serious problem, which they don't even relate to. There's a connection. You
Well,
know,
and that's one of the problems. There, everything is connected. Without the biology, you can't even break anything out of that garbage food. And they've destroyed the biology in our bodies by having all these chemicals in the food, having city water that you're drinking and it's full of chlorine and chloramine and all these chemicals. It hits your gut biology, kills the biology in your gut. How the hell do you expect to actually digest anything and be healthy, because you keep killing the biology over and over? Every glass of water you take, every shower that you take, you're killing the biology in your body. It's so, to me, it's ridiculous. But I understand that biology, you have to have it, and if you don't have it, you can never have true health. And
oh, yeah.
Andy, it's in our soils, you know. Oh, it's just so frustrating. But that's why we're here, to share that this is what's happening, so people can start making better choices. So, and sorry, I kind of interrupted you, Andy,
Okay,
but
no, no,
go ahead, brother.
you're part of the show. We are two minds here, and the two minds need to be able to communicate what we feel inside us, because that's what makes us unique. And that the blend of us two together, we make a good team. I'll tell you something that happened yesterday. So I go to a new customer place, and I said, okay, this is the plan. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to help you get off your drugs. I'm just going to help you get
Yeah.
off your drugs. I don't take drugs. Well, let's talk about that. And so I walk
Mhm.
around the property. I said, what do you use there? I use the 20. Well, that's a drug. What do you do with that one over there? I use this. Well, that's a drug. Where do you eat at? Well, you're eating drugs. And then I said, okay, so one of the things I want you to do, I said, do you have a water filter? Yeah, I have a water filter for the whole house. We don't drink that stuff. We don't bathe in it. I said, well, you don't have it for your property. No, why do we need it on our property? The person said,
Uh-huh.
why do we need it on our property? I said, well, think of your property as your body. Your body, you're not putting that stuff in your body, are you? Then why are you putting it on the soil? The soil is a
On the
living
food that
organism
you're gonna
like you
eat.
are, right? And the food you're going to eat, right? And so if you know you're smart enough not to drink it and bathe in it, but you're not smart enough to not to give it to the soil, because you don't see the soil as a living thing. It is a living thing, and if you keep killing it and destroying it, and then you try to eat food from it, the food is
Yeah.
not going to have anything in it that your body's going to need. And so what
Yeah.
happens? You will get sick, because these people they don't look very healthy. I can look at them, I
Mhm.
go, can I help you? Can we walk around? I mean, the person is like a never land. Some of them have the balls to be smoking a cigarette. I said, I don't smoke. I back away. And it's a mentality that we have forced upon people throughout the years. And then we still keep
Mhm.
getting these the studies. We keep getting more and more. This one is about 300 studies that was done, and the
Yeah.
study looked at this was a study that looked at 300 studies and
Yeah.
tells you what the 300 studies are. And these 300 studies are all paid for by the chemical companies to say these things. One of the studies said coffee is bad for earthworms. Coffee will kill will or toxic to my vegetable garden.
Yeah.
And they're just having a fight between the sugar companies and the coffee companies are basically having a little bit of a fight between each other. So they pay to put down the other one. But the person missed an obvious thing, is that it doesn't mention the difference between chemically grown coffee and organically grown coffee. It doesn't say a word about that. I
Yeah.
know that if I put chemically grown coffee in my worm farm, I'll kill all the worms.
Yeah.
They'll be dead within a month. No problem. And I also use water filter. I said, I have a water filter for the garden. Why? Because chemicals in the water is all about killing the biology in the water. We don't want that in the water. Well, your water, your body's water, your garden needs water. So why? It's the same thing. Why are we differentiating? I'm not going to drink it, but I'll take it from the garden. And the studies, if you look at the studies, they're all paid for. What I do is I skip to the very end and see who pays for the studies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even read the rest of it because I don't listen to the BS. I did go. The one study I did go to was the Rodale Institute. They did a study, and
Mm-hmm.
they said basically the very same thing. The damages that the chemically grown people do to the environment is a big difference. Not only to the environment, everything that has to do with it, whether it be soil, air, water. We pollute all of it, right? And then we pollute ourselves in the process with all these chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
All these chemicals, and this right now we're surrounded in toxins. These are all toxins that we have created. We created all these toxins. Everything's fine, guys. Just wear the spacesuit and breathe this oxygen mask. That's what it's going to get
Yeah.
to. It's going to get to that. So I have basically in my book I started off with that because I wanted to tell people that 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 you can't believe all these different studies. You can't believe what
Yeah.
they're saying. You have to look at what it pays for. And one of the things that I entered in this book was that one of these uh, studies was really cool. They compared organic yields to conventional yields, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody did that before. And but they actually studied some organic farmers and some chemical farmers, and they studied the yield. How much they grew per year, and they found
Yeah.
that eventually they grew less and less and less every year, and they had to apply more and more chemical, more and more fertilizer. Eventually, it gets to the point where they had to stop and go farm somewhere else and let the land sort of recover, which it may never recover. You usually leave it fallow, leave it alone, right? But what's interesting too is that the organic farming system builds up organic matter, builds up the health of the soil. Conventional system destroys it on a regular basis. That's a big
Yeah.
difference as far as I can see there, right? More different. Then they're saying,
A lot of it is they're killing conventionally, they're slowly killing off the biology that exists in that soil that's trying to grow their plants. And the more chemicals they put on, the weaker it gets, and the weaker it gets. And it's like anything. It's like you, Andy. If you don't eat and you don't eat and you don't eat and you just get weaker and weaker and weaker, pretty soon you can't get up out of bed and go do anything. That's the same with our soils. It's getting to the point where they're so weak that they can't do the job to grow any food. And then, yeah, they got to go someplace else and and start destroying more biology. You know, and it's a vicious
and
cycle
the
that
logic
they've been created.
and the logic is, it's okay to spray these things because that's
Yeah,
normal. It's okay to spray this whatever chemical you want to use. That's normal because they're totally safe chemicals. And this is part of you have a disease, you spray this chemical. You have a pest, you spray this chemical. Everything's fine. That's what they keep. That's what they keep hammering into people. There isn't a day that I don't see on TV. You got an upset stomach. You don't feel good. Keep eating what you want to. Take this. I go,
yeah,
yeah, that solves the problem right there. See what I mean? It constantly, even fertilizers. Your lawn needs to be green. You have to apply that on a regular basis. Don't apply too much because you'll kill the lawn. But otherwise, you have a beautiful green, luscious lawn. And they see the people out there spraying the fertilizers now come with the pesticides in it, like the Roundup or whatever else, weed killer, whatever comes with it. You know.
yeah,
And to me, when there's weeds growing, it tells you that something going on in the soil. It tells me it's something. It's nothing. The weeds are saying we got to fix this. We got to fix this, and then they got weed killer. Let's kill the weeds,
yeah.
right? Let's kill the messenger that's saying the soil has had it. Give us a break, right? And it's
Look,
like so.
like we say, weeds are medicinal plants for the soil. And those weeds are going, oh well, this weed pulls up a lot of calcium, your soil's depleted, and instead of putting calcium in your soil, you put more chemicals to kill those weeds. That tells you what's wrong. And they burn up the organic material that's in the soil, and they don't put organic material back. It's ridiculous.
So it's and it's it's getting to the point where, see, we're selling this information to all the third world countries. Now they're in India, they're saying, no, we're not listening to you anymore. Because in India, around the world, they've always been self-sustainable farming, right? That they grew their own crops. They got better and better throughout the year.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for thousands of years. The food is wonderful. They live a long age,
Yeah.
But now, if they accept the American way, right, or whatever you want to call it, that's degrading to the point where they're saying no. We're going to go back in India. We're going to go back to the way we did. We're going to go back to producing, instead of one field of soybean, we're going to have a field of many different types of food.
Yeah.
Because they had the seeds. They were doing seeds before, and now they're buying stuff you can't do seeds, and they're destroying their seed bank that they can use to regenerate. So local farmers are starting to save seeds against the will of the chemical companies. Why are you saving those seeds? Well, those seeds are no good, So I see the hope that more and more countries are going to stop with this process of destroying their environment.
Well, I remember Cuba when they had were boycotted and they couldn't get any chemical fertilizers. Like you were saying, people saying, oh, you can't feed the people if you're growing organically, but they literally fed all their people growing 100% organically. Their people were healthy, but now they're going chemical and doing the same thing that everybody else has done that destroyed them. It's like how people aren't told the truth. Like you were saying, Andy, you look at the TV, you look at the newspapers. Oh yeah, we'll do this, do this, do this. Yet they're have been manipulated to the point that they go, oh well, natural, that's no good. You don't want to do it that way. You want to do this. It's how do we stop it, Andy? How do we break in and stop it?
They're saying we will starve if we go organic. That's what they're saying. We will starve. Everybody will starve. We can't feed the world if we go organic. And it's really the opposite. You can't feed the world if you go conventional. Because I really think that the goal of these powers that be is to reduce the population.
Oh yeah.
Control the population, to have it under, let them eat cake kind of thing. Because that's what they did in the past, right? Control the population, make them eat cake. And I see for me, I'm 76, and I try to be as healthy as possible, but it's impossible to go out and eat. It's impossible. You can't go to a restaurant, even if it says health food restaurant. This is a health food restaurant. You go in there and you only ask a few questions. I usually ask one question: do you have a water filter? Is this water filtered? It says no. I said, well, it's got a whole bunch of chemicals in there that are not organic. You know that, right? Right?
And you're washing your vegetables in that water and then feeding it to me and want me to be healthy? What?
Right.
Yeah.
And they don't like being told that. And the waitress will often call the chef, and the chef would argue with me, this is good food. It's all organic. The eggs are organic. And it's like, but is it really organic? Because I found that even organic restaurants are not serving organic produce. They're just, I think a lot of it could be called natural, because they buy natural stuff as opposed to organic thing is the same thing.
Yeah.
The word organic is natural is being misused. It was already being misused before, but now it's being misused even more because there are many things that are natural. Lots of chemical pesticides are natural if you look at it from that point of view, because that's what they are. They're found in nature. Nicotine is natural, but it'll kill you. So many things that are natural that will kill you. They're not organic. There's a reason why something's called organic. It's supposed to be natural. And then it gets to the point where I believe that we're not going to we're not reducing.
Just pause there. Guys, if you're on Facebook, okay, but we're streaming both to Andy's Facebook and my Facebook, and we just got the message that the stream has been stopped and deleted on Facebook. Oh, geez, I guess we must have said something that really the algorithm caught and just deleted the stream on
Yeah.
those two things. Like,
Yeah.
guys, that's just how bad it is.
Yeah, exactly right. If we had said the right things, we'll be able to continue with our show. I think
Yeah.
YouTube, once we put it up there, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to shut it down because we don't want to tell people that we're feeding them these chemicals and we're killing them, everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody, no. This is a perfect example. It really is a perfect example of the control. Oh, what is
Manipulation. Yeah. Yeah, it's so ridiculous that just happened, and like happened in the middle of the show, guys. Like that's just so manipulative. That's why, Lily and I both say, if you're watching the TV and your news, you're not only being misled, it's much worse than that. And that's why we're here trying to share the truth and the facts. And if you're not growing by biology and understanding that the biology in your body, in your plant body is the same, and you have to treat it the same and worship that biology. If you're getting sick, it's, rely on the biology, fix your biology, fix your cells, and then your cells will be healthy and you won't be sick anymore. That's why Andy has been saying this for decades of fix your soils, fix the food you're eating, and then you're going to be healthy. It's ridiculous.
This is not the first time I've been shut down. It's not the first, and it's not going to be. It's not going to be the last. It's understandable because it is their business. We're running it on their business, and these guys are part of the problem. They understand totally that they don't like it when you tell people the truth. Let people decide, because the people are not stupid. I don't think that much that they can say, well, I'm going to continue with these chemicals even though it's killing me. They're going to say, no, I have to stop. And when you get to the point where you literally have to stop, maybe too late, because we're all druggies. We're all literally druggies when it comes. This whole book, it's all based upon non-conventional ideas, which in reality are conventional. Depends who you talk to, but it's not conventional when you say if for people come up to me all the time, a hand problem. I said, no, you don't have an hand problem. You have a soil problem. That's very unconventional. That's very unconventional thinking. Microbial rights. Microbials don't have living. Soil biology does not have rights. These living organisms do not have any rights whatsoever because they're non-existent to these people. All these people that did the studies, they didn't say, let's take a look at the soil biology. Let's see what's flourishing, what's going on, right? They don't say that if the soil biology is really flourishing, therefore your garden's doing really well. They don't say that stuff. They don't say any of these things. Oh man, there's a low I see on the Andy. You need to throw rocket. What is that? Green
rock phosphate. Mr. Uninvisible. Can I throw you? Okay, let it fly. Yeah.
So throughout my history, I have encountered teachers in agriculture because I still took it for a little while because it was fun, and I felt, well, I'm not going to run away. I'm just going to stand up to the teachers. I went to the environmental center. They wanted me to teach there because people were using Roundup on their soil because the weeds were so bad. And I said, wait a minute, this is called the environmental center? And you guys are using Roundup? I think we have a problem here in the educational system because this is a school.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is that we can't say anything about the powers that be because they pay the money.
They've built the buildings on that school. But I do want to point this out, guys. Goathead, you're right and you're wrong. They don't have a voice to complain. Actually, they do. I am made by cells. I am made by biology. I can be and have to be their voice. That's why Andy is one of their voice as well. And you
They
guys
do
can
have a
all
voice,
be
right?
voices.
They do
We're
have a
their
voice.
voice.
We're
Yeah.
their voices, right?
Yeah.
We stand up for the biology all the time. I always will. Even when I'm dead, I say, feed me to the soil, right? To the
Yeah.
soil biology. And that's exactly what we're doing. And they can't totally shut us down. That's why I can put whatever I want to on my website,
Yeah.
and which is what I'm doing. I'm going to be setting up more online workshops, more online classes, tell you the truth of what I've learned. They can't shut me down. These people can't, because that's their we're like their customers, and we're using their system. And they can say, oh, something went wrong. They don't say we shut you down because you're telling the truth. Something happened to the feed. It's always something like that. A lot of times on my shows, they just disappear. I'm going, what happened to it? I can give you some examples of other social medias that do not like the truth at all, because they something happens. The show just does not show up, disappears. When I did my first book, How to Heal the Earth in Your Spare Time, the publisher went bankrupt. And I think, thinking back, I think he got paid off. I think don't publish that book, go back, here's some money.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising. But then the one thing I am very happy about seeing is, and it's in the US, is RFK is changing a lot of the things that are being allowed in your guys' food. And just in doing that, it's at least a step in the right direction. As long as we can keep those steps going, and we can start changing those things. Like, you look at Russia, they don't use anything from Monsanto, or now Bayer, because Bayer bought out Monsanto. But there are countries and societies around the world that are not accepting this and have changed back and are growing healthy food for their people. And that's what we need.
I order wheat from Italy.
Yeah.
Because they use the original wheat that we have used for a long time. The wheat here is so toxic. It's used as a pesticides. It's used for paint. It's used for fertilizers. It's used for all kinds of stuff. It's not real wheat. Your body's going, excuse me, this is not. What do we do with it? There's a video called "What's Up with Wheat," and you can't really find it on the market. I got it black. I got it in the black market.
Black market?
Yeah, I got it in the black market, and it's called "What's Up with Wheat." So these people did this show, amazing show. It tells you this is not wheat. This is what you're going to get. You're getting sick from. It's causing all kinds of problems. Babies shouldn't give it to babies. You shouldn't give it to adults. You shouldn't be eating it all. But it's in everything now, and that wheat
canola oil. The seed oils, that the canola guys, if you go back and you look and realize that canola oil was actually made as a fuel, and for lubricating parts and machines,
and the
they were supposed to be consumed.
Right. It was done for the military.
Yeah.
And now what can we use? Oh, let's cook with it. That's because it's a cooking thing. So I always thought it was corn oil, but it's not corn oil. It's canola oil. Canola oil is an entirely different product.
And they cook with it in pretty much every single restaurant, and it's horrible for your body.
So what happens when I go to a restaurant? They give me some chips, fried in canola oil.
Yeah.
So my doctor says your cholesterol is shooting through the roof. What are you eating? You normally eat great. I said, well, I've been going out with my friends and I eat a little bit of chips. What's wrong with the chips, right? Oh no, canola. And now you go in the store, you buy potato chips, bag of potato chips. You see what it's fried in, right? I only get the air fried ones as opposed to the canola ones now, right?
Yeah.
It's an inch in oil, and it's exactly so we eat. You know what happens when we eat an inch in oil? Your body goes, oh, okay, that's it, we're done.
I'm gonna throw a piston right away, man.
Throw a piston, throw a rod, and your bad cholesterol levels shoot through the roof. You have all kinds of disease and mental problems happen all the time, and it's getting harder and harder for a decent person to eat really good food. I went to another place, It's I'm not going to mention the name, but they're promoted as organic, everything cleaning, water filter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They use canola oil in their frying, and I'm going, that's not real. It's just organic. Well, it does not make any difference if it's organic canola oil. It's not good for the body. You shouldn't be using that. You shouldn't be frying with it. As a matter of fact, put in some water, a little soap, it'll kill any bug in contact.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah. So
I just get so
welcome
frustrated.
to the club, man. Welcome to the
Yeah.
club. You have to be really, really strong-willed. You have to not be afraid. These guys, they can't come after you, even though they if these guys wanted to come after me, they will take me away, and for whatever reason, and you will not see me again because I'm just screaming too much. But what they tell people is that I'm crazy. I said, yeah, I'm crazy. I'm wild. I'm a wild and crazy guy, and they leave
Yeah.
me alone. And the only people that come to me are crazy people who they too are starting to realize that there's something wrong with the soil and there's something wrong with me and there's something wrong with the food I eat. And it's almost too late for them to switch because it's nearly impossible to switch to be clean, because we have forever chemicals, we have all kinds of other things that we're surrounded with now, and so it's very, very difficult to be clean. The only way you really do it is you have to stop the way you're living now, go live on a farm and grow your own stuff, and don't never leave the farm. Just be in a place where there's more. That's why I wanted to move over up to North California. I was looking at a 10-acre farm. I mean, I'm living right now, tiny little place, and the toxic levels are going through the roof. Right, the toxic levels are going. I got a little device. I used to show it. It will say, "Warning: You're dead. You are now dead."
Yeah.
Because you got all the bad stuff. I go, holy cow, and so and
Yeah.
that's why the bees are walking around going, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. So it's a really bad thing. But the bottom line is that there is a difference. When people tell you, is there a different conventionally or organic, we're going, yes, there's a zillion difference. The difference is night and day. You can ignore it at your own risk. You can ignore it
Yeah.
at your own risk. Continue. You're going to have to go to the doctor and take more chemicals to control it because the doctor is not going to say, well, maybe you should stop doing that.
Well,
Right?
no,
That would be the
the
first.
doctors just want to give you a pill to fix the symptom, not fix the problem.
So one time I went to a doctor and I took my wife there, and he said, "What are you doing here?" I'm bringing my wife. I see. So he says, "You need to take the flu shot. You need to take this shot." I said, "No, I don't need to take any of this stuff." And I don't. I took a flu shot, and within 2 weeks, my eyes grew clouded up, and I had to replace my lenses. And they said, "There's nothing wrong with you." One doctor said, "Yeah, there was too much mercury in that mixture for you." And I'm going,
Yeah.
"Okay." So, so the process is we have to live by our own standards and increase the standards more and more because you literally surrounded with people who are smoking cigarettes. They come up to me and says, "Please back up." Uh, they're drinking booze. Okay, booze. There's 76 different chemicals in beer. 76 different chemicals in beer. Yellowing chemicals make you yellow. Anti-yelling, so not too much. Foaming chemicals to make it foam. Anti-foaming, so it doesn't foam too much. There's 76 of them. And
Yeah.
so the best thing to do is make your own beer. Grow your hop and make your own beer. Make your own booze.
Yeah.
That's fine. You're not going to get the chemicals that way. So the process is you have to really grow your own food as much as you can. Talk about having a greenhouse. I don't know we mentioned it last show, but you want to have a greenhouse so you can grow as much as you can in that greenhouse. You want to get the seeds. You need to start buying seeds now because they're getting harder and harder to find. Organic heirloom seeds are harder to find now than ever before because they're just magically disappear. What's happening? The chemical companies are buying the organic companies out, and they're going out of business.
Yeah. Yeah. They're putting them out of business. And that's the thing is really our entire planet is changing. Like you look at what's happening around the globe, there is actually hope. We can actually save ourselves and save our plants, save our animals. But we're gonna have to go through a few more years of absolute insanity and it's going to get better, or we're going to, our whole planet is going to be deceased. There's
Well,
only the two options out there, right?
well, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to. Uh, I don't. I'm an optimist, but
Yeah.
realistically, it's still getting worse. It's
Well, it's
still
gonna get worse before it gets better, Andy, but things are
exactly right.
changing.
Exactly right. And the things are changing because it's like a pendulum effect. The pendulum's going like this. You can't stop the pendulum. You have to let it go, and it's going down again. It's go up again. Sooner or later, it'll mellow down. But we don't really have that the 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 luxury of just taking our time to do this, because if the Earth starts to say, "I'm out," then we're in deep trouble.
Well, you look at what's happening on the Ring of Fire, you look at all the volcanic activity. And guys, I want to point out a lot of the volcanic activity putting the particulates in the atmosphere, reflecting the sunlight. That's going to really start bringing global temperatures down. But there's another feature to that, and it's one thing that Mother Nature uses to put, rock dust, different components globally across the planet, to try to re-inoculate the soil with these components that are missing now. So there is Mother Nature is doing a job on us, in some ways good, in some ways in the short term for us bad, but
This is how
she's
she
trying
cleans
to
up.
fix the problem as
This,
well.
this is how she cleans it up.
Yep.
This is perfectly normal for one of my friends, which, by the way, is, the book is called Remineralization of the Planet. It's an ebook, which you get free. So thank you for texting me, emailing me that you want. What's a GG for? My GG
Probably a strain. Probably a
huh?
strain.
A
Probably
stray.
a strain. Yeah, a
So
cultivar. And
so
we should bring up your website, because guys, you can get Andy's uh this book that we're reviewing as an ebook
right.
but you have to tell them how they can get it, Andy, because they
You need to stand on
specifically
your
have
left foot, put your right foot up in the air, rub with your right hand, and wave like this. And if you can do that, I'll send you the book. That's the way it works. No, so the people who have contacted me for the free book, I also included the remineralization of the planet. I included Don't Panic, It's Organic. I included the bricks book, tells you all about bricks, how to use a refractometer, how to read the bricks, and I'm also including my uh, natural pest control alternatives to chemicals for the home and garden. These are all ebooks that I just click on and send it to you right away. And if you do that soon, you can also be reading the book as we go over it. This book has already been redesigned. The new version is coming out to be updated, and so. But that's why I wanted to cover with this, because in this book, this is the best book I've ever written. I had a professor. I sent it to the University of California in Santa Barbara. The professor says, privately, I love it. Publicly, I hate it.
Well, yeah, publicly I can't agree with you, because then I wouldn't get my paycheck. But so
Yeah.
they have to go to your website and they get
Use the
your
inquiry form.
newsletter.
Yeah, there's an inquiry form. You fill out
Okay.
the inquiry form. You say, "Hi, I saw you on it's all about the biology. I would like my free ebooks, and I signed up for your newsletter."
Okay.
And then the problem, see, people send me email. I got 38,000, literally 38,000 emails the other day. There's no way I can go through all these. I made a mistake. I put the emails on my website and the phone number. Do not do that, because I know it's being sold in the black market. And I get all kinds of stuff now from people I've never heard of before. I get a lot of
Yeah.
things. So the best way, so if you click on that, it gets sent from my computer to my box, which I have a rule. Anything comes from that computer goes right to that box. I don't have to look for it. And if you do that, you'll get those 4 ebooks. They're basically PDF files. You can read through them. You'll love them. There's tons and tons of information in all those books. And in this book, there's lots of information. If you would read the chapter first and write down any questions that you may have about it, but that's what we're doing. We're basically having a little class here I want to be able to, you guys to talk back to me about what you think is going on in here and understand it more. Because the sooner you understand what's going on in this, see, you guys are going to be following in my footsteps. You're going to be talking to people more and more yourself. You have to be able to stand up for you have to stand up for your rights, stand up for the soil rights, stand up for the earth's rights, because nobody else is going to do it. And you'll find that the powers that be have tons of money, guns, all kinds of stuff, but they can't stop us. And that's what it's all about. We want to gradually educate ourselves to the point. Everything I teach you, I learned from experience. Simple as that. I did it. I had 1,000 years of doing this, and I can do it over and over again. I can argue with any scientist, and I would say, let's prove it. Let's do it. And no, we're not going to do it your way. We're going to do it the correct way. We're going to have an organic farmer over here and a conventional farmer over there, and we're going to document everything. And the organic farmer is actually going to do it right, and then you're going to test the food. You're going to test the food. You're going to test the food, see if it's any good. Use a refractometer. Bingo. You can't argue. I went to a place the other day and I took the refractometer, and the guy said he had conventional here and organic. I said, "This is an organic store, and you're selling conventionally. You know what conventionally means? Yeah, we're going to use the chemicals. We're going to use the pesticide. So why are you selling? Because it's totally safe." I see, and it's the same thing. There's no difference. That's okay. You pick an apple from there, and you pick another apple from organic, and let's put it to this machine. What's that machine? It's a refractometer. I don't care. It's something. It's not a real thing. No, it's a machine that shows you the sugar level, and of your food, and the sugar level translates to the mineral level. So let's do that. So the one apple had a 10, another apple had 23. I said, which one would you eat? Without even thinking, I'll eat the 23. Bingo. Why are you selling this conventional crap in this store? People come in here and they think it's organic. Oh, that's why. So conventional must be a conventional organic. They're idiots. These people are taking advantage of people, and they're ripping people off, selling them something they think is solely safe, and it's not. I'm not going to give the name of the company because they won't like it. It's a big number.
And they'll probably sue you, me, and my children's children's children.
And the same thing with chemical pest control. So I was a consultant for different chemical pest control companies, right? Because I would tell them, why do that when you can do this? And you make more. Isn't it bottom line money? Don't you want to make more money? Yeah, but we can't teach people any of this stuff. And it's so easy to go kill the bug and we're done, right? No, we're not. So now what they're doing, they're naming themselves something natural. Say one company is called Mother Earth. Oh, that's a good pest control company to that. Not a thing in it is organic or safe. And to make it worse, the law was changed. You can say we are organic. All you have to do is one organic product and 99 chemicals, and you're organic.
I like what Ghetto Hippie 2 says here. That's common practice to deceive for profit.
Exactly right. And I think it's so bad because people come up to me all the time. I'm using this company, blah, blah, blah. It's a green name, right? I said, it's only green in the name. Why don't you ask them what chemical? Then a lot of times, so when I go to a customer, I say, you have to cancel your chemical company, right? So give me the name of the company. I call them up. So what are you using for ants? Well, we're using Termidor. It's totally safe. Why are you saying it's safe? Look up Termidor. And Termidor, it kills people left and right. It's for termites. And it's meant to be injected into the soil to kill the termites. But they say it's so toxic, it'll kill everything. We can go around spraying France, it'll kill. And it will kill you, but slowly. It doesn't kill you right away unless you happen to be. The guy himself is wearing a suit when he's spraying. Okay.
Well, yeah, that should be giving it away, pretty good. But Andy, we're almost at our hour.
Oh no, we're done. Yes, we are. Okay.
So
sorry.
Next week, chapter 2 in the book, is the mycelium intelligence. So we're going to be talking about mycelium next week.
We'll talk about the internet for the soil.
Yes. Yeah. For our entire planet, actually. Because it's all interconnected, guys. Yeah. If you want to talk about AI, our planet is the master AI, and the mycelium is part of the network that feeds it. And geez, we have to reboot. If we reboot, oh, we're not going to be here anymore. Protect the mycelium.
So let's look at this for a second. I want to see this. Okay, so this one
Okay.
here, seedless fruit tree started from seed. This is bad. I have no idea about seedless fruit trees. Usually, when you start things from fruit trees from seeds, you don't end up with, you don't know what you're going to get because there can be so many different variations of it. My feelings about these seedless fruit trees is that they're not grown from seeds, because if they don't have seeds, how can they be called seedless, right? So that's a catch-22 right there. It says seedless
that's
fruit
pretty
trees
genetically modified. But then how about the wheat, Andy, or that corn that they can't reuse the corn as a seed? I think it's probably the same kind of thing. It's genetically modified.
I think so too. I think it's very, very possible that they're genetic. See, there's nothing wrong with being genetically modified if you follow some basic natural rules. You do not put chemicals in. We genetically modify food all the time. When I grow a tomato like that particular batch, I'll grow that again and then grow that again. Pick the one. So that's genetically modified. That's perfectly fine. Maybe they bred fruit trees not to produce seeds. It may have been a natural process, but how do you get? The question was starting from seeds. So if it doesn't produce seeds, where is the seeds coming from? Right? Normally seeds as fruit trees, you graft it from another fruit tree to continue it. So that doesn't sound right that you have seeds from a seedless fruit tree, because it doesn't.
How do you get seedless watermelon? How would you get the next season of watermelon if they're seedless and you couldn't plant the seeds?
Right. So the only way you would do it is you would have to graft from your watermelon the plant to have another plant growing again. And
the Ghetto Hippie says they're using an antibiotic to prevent the growth of seeds. So
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, and neither do I. But guys,
take care now, guys.
We'll see you next week on Gardens the Untold Story. Don't forget, the ladies will be on tomorrow on Chiropractic is Sexy. And we'll see who we have with Leighton Morrison on Monday. But guys, love you all, and we will see you soon.